You're listening to Just Hit Play with your hosts, Peter and Nick Cabral. If you're tired of your stagnant, streamed music feed, then strap yourselves in for an intergenerational sonic journey through Peter and Nick's favourite songs.
Welcome to episode 125 of Just Hit Play. I'm your host, Peter. With me is my co-host, Nick. Nick, how's your day going?
My day's going really, really well. Was able to watch some Champions League action, which is always exciting. And I just had a lovely walk in Trinity Bellwoods and dinner with my girlfriend. So yeah, it's been a nice day so far.
That's always nice. They're building a house next door, so I can hear some drilling and some sawing. So my apologies if you hear any noise coming through the microphone, but they are building a house next door. The weather is perfect here. It's finally turned. I don't have the fan on. I have nothing on. I'm just enjoying the temperature as it is. So the weather is absolutely lovely.
Oh, that's fantastic. Can't ask for more than that.
No. And do you know, Nicholas, what you were doing 13 years ago today?
13 years ago today, I suppose I would be in Australia, right?
You were getting your first surfing lesson, and hopefully, I think only surfing lesson today in Noosa Beach in Australia.
Oh, no way. Yeah, I haven't had a surfing lesson since then. Haven't really had the opportunity, but that was a fun time. Something I always look back on and remember. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I can't believe it was 13 years ago, but that's when it was.
I know. That's so hard to believe.
Because you would have been, 10, I guess, at that time?
10 and a half.
Yeah, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, that makes me feel old.
It was a fun trip. I enjoyed that trip. I liked hanging out with you, and my mother was there as well. Your dad, it was okay. It was okay to see him, but I have fond memories of hanging out with you and my mom.
Yeah, a whole month with my dad. I guess that must have been a lot for you to handle.
Yeah, like I know when it's funny. There was this contest going here for Flight Center. It was like, tell us in 25 words why you need to win $10,000 gift certificate for like flights and stuff like that. And I wrote, my brother hates me. Please give me $10,000 so I can annoy him for a month.
Nice.
I haven't heard back. I don't think I'm going to win, but I thought that was pretty funny.
That's a good one. That's a good entry. If I was the intern responsible for picking a winner, I'd go with that.
Yeah. I figured it'd be good to know your dad for a month, I guess.
Yeah, I mean he's retired now, so he's got plenty of time to entertain you.
Exactly. And I know now not to come on a Tuesday because it's trivia night on a Tuesday, so I have to come any other day but a Tuesday.
Yeah, if you go to a trivia night on a Tuesday, you have to do some carrying.
Well, I do that, but I know I can't land on a Tuesday because the trivia night, so I have to land on any day but Tuesday.
Right. Yes. Yeah. That is true.
Yeah, the carrying I'm used to. Like every time I'm there, I'm used to carrying the team, so that's not a biggie.
Yeah, we're gonna get another comment on this episode, from my dad threatening legal action.
Could be. Is it slander, you think?
Yeah, I think he'll get us for libel.
Well, I have the proof that we won the week I was there, so that's my proof. I'm sticking to it.
Fair enough. Stick to your guns.
You're going first this week, so tell us about your song.
Right, this week I wanted to throw it back to the mid 2000s. We've got the song "Dare" by the band Gorillaz. And I'm sure you're a fan of the Gorillaz. I know you're a big fan of Blur. And the Gorillaz are the project of Damon Albarn, who's the frontman of Blur. The Gorillaz is Damon Albarn's brainchild, his avenue for experimentation and trying new things and just making really good music without any expectations. So, Darren, why don't you just hit play on Dare by Gorillaz?
Coming out. It's there.
All right, so I love that song. It's probably my favorite song by Gorillaz. I've loved it since I first heard it. And awesome video too, by the way. Like all the Gorillaz videos, it's really well done. But yeah, what do you think of Dare?
Yeah, when obviously I know the Gorillaz, so when you mentioned the Gorillaz in the song, I was okay. I think I know the song, but I wanted to not say I did until I actually heard the song. And then when I played the song, I was like, okay, yep, I'm familiar with the song and I've heard it before. Love the song, love Gorillaz. It's a perfect song, and you described it perfectly. Damon Albarn is a guy who was the lead singer of Blur, had a very successful career with Blur, but very limiting because obviously Blur is a Britpop band. And what better way to dip into as many other genres that you want when you sort of come up with a cartoon band and get all these guest singers to join in. And it's so unlimiting, the genre that the Gorillaz can play, really.
Yeah, they can occupy any space they want because they're a cartoon band, like you said. There's no labels, there's no you have to make this sound, there's no siloing. And Damon Albarn, I think it's pretty apparent now that we've seen his career for so long. He's the kind of guy where he just wants to make music. He doesn't want to be pigeonholed. He just wants to try things and do things and see what he likes and what other people like. And I think him coming up with the Gorillaz is the best thing that could have happened for anybody involved.
Right, exactly right. And, being in a rock band, especially now, where rock is definitely not the dominant musical force in popular music anymore, it's very limiting. And, you can go a little bit synth, you can go a little bit drum and bass and that kind of stuff, but it's so limiting what your fan base will allow you to do. But now, when you join a completely different band, I think the only band that can get away with recording almost any sound is probably Radiohead, because they've established such a groundbreaking genre to themselves almost. But now with the Gorillaz, they can do whatever they want because again, there's no limit to them.
Absolutely, yeah. And from the time the Gorillaz were first thought of, I guess, or started in the late 90s, they've always they've sort of skewed, I think, towards hip-hop originally. I think that was the main sound that they leaned into, was like that boom bappy, sample heavy electronic production style, very reminiscent of hip-hop. A lot of influences from that. And it's very evident on Dare. The song is built around samples. It's got that driving, repetitive drum beat that you would see in hip-hop, but it still has that poppy element to it. That's Damon Albarn showing his experience in writing a good, catchy pop song, just with a more hip-hop instrumental, I guess. And one thing that I really appreciate about Gorillaz is it's not a guy or a group of guys trying to make hip-hop music or trying to do music in different genres. They actually bring in collaborators who are experts in that genre and who know how to make that music and let them shine and let them take the wheel. That's what I think is really special about Gorillaz, is they're willing to collaborate. They're based around collaboration. Yeah,
sure. Yeah. No, they're heavy on that. And especially for this song, Dare, you have Sean Ryder from the Happy Mondays, who we featured in this podcast, guesting with some vocals on this song.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Collaboration all over the place. I mean, their most recent album that they put out, Cracker Island, so many collaborators. They had their 2020 album, Song Machine. They had on the same album, Elton John and JPEG Mafia. Like they'll throw anyone on a track, and it's awesome. I think it's great, and it just goes to show that any style of music can work together. You just need the right person in the center of it to knit all the threads into one.
Yeah. Well, even one of the songs they recorded with Noel Gallagher, and Noel Gallagher famously in the 90s said that he hoped Damon Albarn got AIDS and died. They even got him to be a guest vocalist on the song too.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. No, I can't remember the name of the song, but no, I know Noel Gallagher is a lead singer on one of the Gorillaz songs.
Well, do you know the origin behind the song name, Dare?
No, please go for it.
So, obviously Sean Ryder, as you said, it features on this song. And originally, the title of the song was "It's There," as in There. But because Sean Ryder has such a strong Manchester accent, yeah, it just sounds like he's saying "It's Dare," and so
that makes sense. Yeah.
So they were like, "All right, the song's name is Dare now," and that wasn't even written into the song. It was originally just Sean Ryder like trying to get them to increase the level in his headphones. So he kept saying, "It's going up, it's going up, going up. Okay, there." And then that's how the chorus of the song came around, which they beautifully loop and chop it up almost like a sample.
Right.
Yeah, cool stuff.
Well, Sean Ryder, if anyone is interested in the Happy Mondays or Sean Ryder, or have never heard of the Happy Mondays or Sean Ryder, he is a character and a half. Please look into the Happy Mondays, one of the funniest bands, one of the great bands that came out of the Manchester scene. My favorite Sean Ryder story is when I think they went to the Bahamas to record an album, and they got so hooked on drugs while they were recording the album that they just sold off all the gear in the studio for drug money. And by the end of it, it was like the studio was just a shell because they had sold everything to get more and more money for drugs. So great band, the Happy Mondays. So if you ever get a chance, please listen to the Happy Mondays.
Yeah, very, very interesting guy. Yeah. I liked all the Happy Mondays stories you told on that episode.
Yeah. Just a weirdo. And he's I think he does now UFO videos. I think he's part of like the UFO community, and he does a lot of videos about finding UFOs. Like he's gone that way too. So yeah, brilliant. I love Sean Ryder.
Yeah, cool guy.
Yeah. So
another reason I was really excited to do this song on the podcast is I've always been curious how the public perception to Gorillaz was. Obviously, as you said, Damon Albarn had a very successful career as the frontman of Blur. So when he started making music under the Gorillaz name,
right,
how was that sort of viewed? Like, did people think it was just a weird experiment? Did people want him to go back to Blur? Was it thought of as like a waste of time or a gimmick? Like, what was your take on that as a whole?
I think Blur had run its course. They released a song called "Tender Is the Night," or "Tender in the Night." I can't remember the exact name of the song, but I think it's called maybe "Tender," just "Tender." And while it's one of my favorite Blur songs, it had moved so far away from the Blur sound that I think even Blur didn't want to be Blur anymore, and they basically stopped recording. It was probably seen as a one-trick pony at first, and I think if the Gorillaz came out in the 80s, before the internet, before you could just find out information at the touch of your fingertips, they probably would have had a bigger cultural impact than today, because they would have been seen as this weird cartoon band. And you would have had to, it's like, that sounds like Damon from Blur, but is it? Like, there would have been some, people trying to find out who this was exactly. So I think the internet, ruins a lot of things, especially for communication. Communication's almost too easy now. I think if Gorillaz came out a little, like 10 years, 15 years earlier, it would have been a little bit more guessing game on who this was.
Yeah. So was it sort of like everyone knew right away?
Pretty
like, okay,
much,
this is Damon Albarn's thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It's so hard to keep a secret. Like, it's so hard, years ago, I sort of, I wrote a couple movie scripts, and it'd be so hard to write movie scripts now because a lot of my plot points had to do with the lack of communication.
Right.
Where you couldn't communicate with someone as easily as you can now. So I think a lot of my movie scripts, if I was to release it now, people are like, that's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense.
There's plot holes everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Because I could just take out my phone and just send someone a text or a Facebook message. And so I started writing it before, like, no character that I wrote a script about had a phone. It was all based on the lack of communication. So yeah, it's not the same.
Now, do you know how they came up with the idea for the Gorillaz? What sparked it? What prompted it?
No idea.
So the idea for the Gorillaz came about when Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett, who's a comic artist, and he did all the character designs for the Gorillaz. They were apparently watching MTV one day and thought that they weren't seeing anything of substance on MTV and the music videos and what have you. And so they had this idea to make a virtual band that would be a comment on the lack of substance that they were seeing on MTV and in the music industry as a whole. So they wanted to manufacture this boy band almost that would just be a bigger commentary on the industry. And then the Gorillaz came out of that.
Well, that's probably around the same time that MTV started to lose its position of power in the music industry and slowly moved away from music altogether and went into more reality programming. So that could have been around that time where the music video wasn't as seen as important.
Yeah, I think it was around 1997. So probably checks out.
That would have been around the time.
Yeah. So there you go. MTV giveth and MTV taketh away.
Well, 97 was an interesting year because you had the Gorillaz coming out. You had Moby, you had Fatboy Slim, the Prodigy were at their height. So you did have a lot of dance acts that were coming around that time. So 97 wasn't a bad year for music by any stretch. I really like a lot of those. Like the Prodigy were a great band. You know, I like Fatboy Slim. I like Moby. So there's some really good music coming out in 97.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's all great acts you just listed.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was in 97. They came up with the idea for the band. And then in 2001, they released their debut album, Gorillaz, with the massive triple platinum single, Clint Eastwood, which is a banger. Love that song.
Yep, great song.
And yeah, rest is history. They're still putting out music under the Gorillaz to this day. As I said, they just dropped an album last year called Cracker Island. And yeah, it's actually really good too. I like all the music they're making now as well.
Yeah. The other band that I can think of, again, that I think I first heard of them in 1997 was probably Daft Punk, who, because they wear masks, they could be anybody. And like I've heard of there's been some Daft Punk shows that they've been playing. Daft Punk have been playing in the same city in different countries at the same time. So who is Daft Punk is a really good question.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Daft Punk has a similar thing to Gorillaz where they can just keep changing their sound and keep changing the look, and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, also love Daft Punk, and you're right. Yeah, they put their debut out in 1997.
Yeah.
And then their second album, which is my favorite Daft Punk album, Discovery, was in 2001. It's the same year as the Gorillaz. 2001's a good year for music.
It's a good year for music, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I've no problem with the Gorillaz still making music. I think we need bands to be weird and make cool music and experiment and push the envelope. So I love the fact that the Gorillaz are still around. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. And I think you'll be happy to know that for next week, I'm going to get you to listen to another Gorillaz song. This time, the one from their album last year. So
nice.
Just I figured you'd be interested to see what the Gorillaz are sounding like now.
Yeah, that's great. I can't wait to hear next week's song. Yeah, cool.
And Darren, what did you think of this song "Dare" by Gorillaz? I'm sure you may have heard of it already, but regardless, what do you think of it?
Yeah, always liked this song. Never knew it was called "Dare."
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Darren.
Okay, so we're going to go on to my song now, and I'm going to do a thing this month where I'm going to say, I'm getting you to listen to some really weird music from the 80s. And the first question really that we should be asking is like, can you believe this was a hit? Last week we did Taco and Putting on the Ritz. And this week we did Falco, Rock Me Amadeus. Before we get your thoughts on the song, let's hear a little bit. So Darren, just hit play on Falco and Rock Me Amadeus. Rock me, rock me, rock me, rock me, rock me, Amadeus, do it, do it. Okay, so this song was released in 1985, is in Germany, and then it was released in 1986 in the West. So, Nicholas, can you believe this was a hit?
I want to say I can believe it's a hit, but I'm still surprised it was. I get it, but I don't at the same time.
Yep. This was a huge hit around the world.
Wow.
Huge.
Yeah, it's another interesting one. You know, I see a lot of similarities between this and Putting on the Ritz in my head. I don't know if it's just because they're both made by Europeans or what, but yeah. Interesting.
So Falco, his real name is Johann Holzer, and he just goes by the name Hans, which is very German and very Austrian. So as I mentioned, this song was recorded in 1985 and released in Germany, released in Austria, which became a really big song. And then subsequently was released in America and became a huge hit in America and went to number one. I think it's one of the only foreign language songs at the time that went number one in the United States. And it also went number 18 in the hip hop and R&B charts.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because he does have a bit of a hip hop cadence.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Speaking.
I was thinking that during the verses, it is almost like he's rapping, which is interesting. And funny enough, is by far my least favorite part of the song. I don't like the verses at all. I'll just put my hands up and say, I only like the chorus on this song. I think that slaps. Yeah. It's really catchy, and I get why. It's a hit because the chorus is so good. The verses, though, maybe it's just because I don't know German. Maybe if I knew German, I'd like it. Maybe. But it doesn't do much for me at all.
Yeah. Well, he was a huge star in Germany and in Austria. In North America and in the West and English-speaking countries, he was a one-hit wonder. But no, in certain parts of Europe, he definitely had a long career. He was a complicated man. He died at the age of 40. He was in a he died in 1998 at the age of 40 in a motorcycle accident in the Dominican Republic. He died from his injuries. Now, he was an addicted person to alcohol and drugs, so I'm guessing that might have played a part in his accident. But yeah, he had a very tortured life because of his drug addictions. Gotcha.
Well, rest in peace, Falco, or Hans, as he went by.
Hans,
yeah. That's too bad. That's a shame, but I'm not too surprised. After seeing the video for this song, especially, I can't say I'm surprised he was into the drugs a little bit.
This song was inspired. There was a movie called Amadeus, which had come out, obviously, around this time, and this is what inspired the song, the movie Amadeus. And this is what the song basically is referring to. Obviously, Amadeus I believe he was Austrian, and same with Hans is also Austrian. So there's definitely a connection there. And, German speaking, that's probably another connection. So yeah, there was also a lot of that going on. So that's one of the reasons why, especially in Bavarian countries, it was such a big hit because of the Amadeus and German connection.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess it must have been cool for those countries at the time as well to have a song of one of their own go completely worldwide and be this global smash hit. Like that always fills you with pride a little bit.
Sure, of course.
Right now a lot of the biggest pop stars in the world are Canadian, like from Toronto.
Yeah. It's weird.
Drake,
isn't it? Yeah.
Justin Bieber, The Weeknd.
Yeah.
Yeah, and regardless of your thoughts on any of their actual music, it's still
huge.
It's still pretty cool.
Yeah, huge artists. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still pretty cool to know that. Yeah, so it's always great when these huge pop stars are from the same city as you or even the same country as you. It's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my things that I really want to do one day is go see a Blue Jay game in Seattle, because there's so many Canadians that go down to Seattle to watch the Jays, and they belt out the national anthem when they play the national anthem. And it's such a, to me, it's so inspiring to see all these Canadians go down to Seattle to see the Blue Jays. So that would be one thing I'd love to do is go down to Seattle and just be with all the Western Canadians singing out the national anthem during a Blue Jay game. So yeah, pride in your country is amazing.
Yeah, all those British Columbia Jays fans.
Yeah.
You could be one of them.
So I'd love to do that. Yeah. That'd be fun. I really don't have a lot more to say about this song. It is what it is. It's weird. The 80s was a weird time for this song to become a worldwide hit. Like, it went number one, like in the top 5 around the world. Like in Australia it was a top 10 hit. In Canada it was a top 10 hit. Completely in German. There was an English version, but again, that didn't get played very much. So it was mostly the German version that was played. And yeah, it made him a lot of money for him to buy his drugs.
Wait, so did like Falco made an English version?
It did, but it never got played. I even tried to find the English version online and I couldn't find it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. And okay, so do you like this song? Like, do you like this song, or do you just it's just a hit? Like what?
I like this song more than "Putting on the Ritz" by Taco because I think it has
bar.
No, it's not. I think it has more of a more of a memorable. The "Rock Me Amadeus" part, I think it's better.
Yeah, yeah.
Would I go out of my way to listen to the song? Probably not. I didn't buy it when I was young. I didn't buy the single. I didn't buy the album. I remember it being played on the radio and watching it on TV. But no, that's pretty much my connection with it. I remember the song, and now you do too.
I sure remember this song, and I feel pretty much the same way. Like, it's definitely not my favorite song. Yeah. It's a song though, and I think the "Rock Me Amadeus" part it's catchy, it's fun, but is it getting added to any playlist? Will it be in rotation?
Yeah,
I don't think it will. I don't.
No, and nor should it. Again, I'm really playing these songs for historical and like trying to show you how strange the '80s were. That this was a huge hit.
Yeah. Oh, I'm picking up what you're putting down. The '80s were weird.
Yeah. So, again, you had this technology. So you had synthesizers, which became really, really cheap. Where before in the '70s, to buy a synthesizer would have been thousands and thousands of dollars, and then all of a sudden they just started mass producing them, and they became so cheap, and they changed music forever. And the sound of music changed, and how music was played changed. So this is another perfect example of how synthesizers changed music, especially when you look at what was coming out of like Eastern European or Central Europe to the West.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah. No, they just became cheap, and music changed because of the cheap synth, and it continues to this day. Synthesizers play a big role in music to this day.
Yeah, I love a good synthesizer. A lot of my favorite music is synth heavy, so shout out the synth.
Exactly. And you've teased it already, but what song do you have for me for next week?
All right, for next week, as I said, I'm getting you to listen to some modern day current Gorillaz music, and it's the song Cracker Island from the album of the same name, and it's featuring Thundercat, who we both like.
Oh, yes. Cool. I like Thundercat. And continuing the theme of, can you believe this was a hit? We're going to listen to One Night in Bangkok by Murray Head.
Oh, okay. I've definitely never heard of that, but cool title. I'm in.
Yeah, it's another interesting song. Okay. I'm laughing to myself because of how strange One Night in Bangkok is, but you'll find out.
Yeah, I'll find out right after we're done recording, actually.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to this day in music history now. This one made me laugh. So when I do my searches for what happened on certain dates in music history, I always try to find really iconic things that happen to bands, right? But this one made me laugh, so I had to do it. So on this day, in 14th of April in 2003, a man was arrested, accused of making up a Björk concert, then selling tickets to that concert. Alex Konate allegedly sold $14,000 worth of tickets at $40 a pop by persuading a San Diego nightclub owner that Björk had agreed to play there. He then took the money and moved to Hawaii.
Wow.
Now, I don't know if he knew that Hawaii was part of the United States, and he was quickly arrested. He didn't go to like Mexico or somewhere that didn't have like a extradition treaty back to the States. But he was arrested in Hawaii and charged. Yeah. So that made me laugh. Good on you, Alex. That's a pretty inventive way to make, $14,000. So we're going to listen to Army of Me by Björk. Yeah, that made me laugh, that story.
I love that Bjork song. And all I can think is that's a lot of work for only $14,000. Like,
Yeah.
just go rob a bank or something.
So in 2003,
get a good payout.
I'm guessing in 2003, $14,000 would be about 20 grand. Yeah, it's not that much money.
Okay.
That's not a lot of money.
Still, yeah, I'm sticking with he should have just robbed the bank.
Yeah, that would have been probably a lot easier for him to do.
Oh, well, gave us a nice anecdote.
Yeah, so good on you, Alex, at least trying to be, I don't know, inventive on how you rob money off people, I guess. So there's your $14,000.
Entrepreneurial, even.
Yeah, exactly. So what are your plans for the rest of the week?
Well, unfortunately, it is exam season for me now. My first exam is on Tuesday, and then I've got another one on the following Friday, and then Thursday the week after. So it's a whole lot of studying for me, sadly.
Okay. So we may or may not record next week?
Yeah, next week it might be iffy. We'll see though. The following week though, okay. I'll be good. So at most will have 1 week off.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll see how we go for next week.
We'll see how we go. Yeah.
Yeah. This week's pretty quiet for me. I've not much going on. I've had like 4 or 5 jobs, photography jobs in a row. So I've been doing a lot of editing. So I'm just continuing to edit. I have 2 more jobs I need to edit, and hopefully I can do those in the next couple of days. So that's pretty much all I'm doing.
Nice.
So
nice.
Then it'll be nice and quiet. I'm shooting a wedding on Saturday, so we'll see how the weather is for that.
Oh, well, hopefully it holds out.
Yeah.
And I did want to say, we didn't do a movie review at the top of the episode, but I did go see Monkey Man this week.
Oh, okay. How was that?
I thought it was a fantastic movie. If you're a fan of like John Wick style action movies, definitely make the effort to go see Monkey Man. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie. And yeah, really, really good stuff. It's very creative, low budget, but you can't really tell. Yep. And yeah, it's good. It's really good.
Is that what Dev Patel, is that his name?
Yeah, that's Dev Patel's movie. He wrote, directed, starred all the stunts
did
himself.
He really? You know, it's funny. I remember the first time I ever saw Dev Patel was in a TV show called Skins, where he played a really skinny guy because he was so skinny at the time. If you were to tell me that he was an action star back then, I would not have believed it. So he's filled out and got a little bit more muscle than he used to back in the day.
Yeah, and he's great in it. He's really, really good in Monkey Man. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, I'll have to put it on my list to watch then, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely should.
Cool. All right, we're going to get into our independent artists this week, and I really love the name of this band. They're called the Drunken Midnight Choir, and we're going to listen to a song of theirs called Here, My Dear. They are sort of a folk rock act. They're based out of the Gold Coast here in Australia. Gold Coast is just a city just south of me here in Brisbane. Yeah, and I really like the song, so thank you very much for the band for letting us play the song. I'm going to put all the links on our Instagram page and in the social, so please go check out the Drunken Midnight Choir. I think you really dig their stuff. So, Nicholas, we're going to talk to you next week, or maybe the week after.
You got it.
See ya.
Ready?
Let's roll.
And you're on 98.5. Up next, we have Richard Neal and the Drunken Midnight Choir, blasting their way up the charts with their hit song, Here My Dear. Check it out, 98.5.
Can you stay with me tonight? Let me share with you my deep insight. All the places I have been, all those that I've seen and left behind. I've been broke, shattered and torn, hope one day to be reborn. I've been dreaming of the day when you take me far away from me, and you care for me and hold me tight. I'll sing for you into the night, even when my life is gone. My love for you is still shine out tonight. I'm wishing I had you right by my side. This world cannot be undone. There's never been no one left alive. So as I walk towards my fate, let go of the hate you hold and say, we'll smoke and laugh under the sun. I'll remind you, you were the one forever in my mind and shrine. We'll be in love so sweet and kind. Stay with me right here, my dear, my love. Stay with me right here, my dear, my
You've been listening to Just Hit Play. To contact your hosts, Peter and Nick, or to be featured on an episode as musical talent, email justhitplay7300@gmail.com. Keep up to date with news and announcements by following on Instagram and Facebook, linked in the show notes. Subscribe on your favourite podcatcher to tune in next week for more sonic delights. And if you can't wait till then, check out the Just Hit playlist on Spotify, linked in the show notes. A special thanks to Braden Munch for the theme song, and thank you for listening.